I'm marshmallow12.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use PHP to add files to a zip archive. So first of all, I just have a blank page up here, and here's green moving out. So let's get started. First of all, I'm just going to create a quick form right here. The action is going to be just back to itself, so index.php, or whatever name you've got it. The method is going to be post, and we need enc type equals multipart slash form dash data, because we're going to be working with files. So archive name, so you'll be able to enter your own name into this. So input type is going to be text. Name will have as the name, obviously, and we'll put that on, put that line down. Next one we need is the actual input file. So input type is file. Name is going to be files with 2 square brackets like that, because that indicates that now files is going to be going into an array, so it can store multiple files. And we also need multiple equals true, just so the browser, or the page rather, the form rather, knows that more than one file can be used in this input. So now, and then we're going to have the submit button. So input type is submit. The name will have as submit. Value add files to zip. Okay, so we've got a simple form now. So if I just refresh this page, we get a box here for archive name, and we get to choose a file here, which we can actually choose multiple files from. And as you can see, if I click open here, we see 12 files appear there, but add files to zip, it's not actually doing anything yet, and it's uploading. But anyway, so now onto the PHP side. So we're going to do if is set $_post submit. So if the submit button has been pressed, we're going to store the files that have been uploaded in a file array. So $_files, and we named the input box files. So that'll store all the files. We'll not store them exactly, but store the data about the files in a files array. So say if I just print _r files array, and say if I just upload 2 files, so them 2 for example, and click add to zip, as you can see we get here in an array. So we've got 2 arrays here. Well, actually no, we've got more than 2, but the first part is the name, the second part is the type. So as you can see, it's text as plain. It's just some basic data, but in this array, all we're going to be taking out is the name of the file and the temporary name, and we don't need anything else for this tutorial. So if we just delete this, so now what we need to do is actually upload the files. So to do this, we need to create a for loop, and we're going to put num is equal to 0. So num is less than count, and we're going to count how many files have been uploaded in the files array. So files array name, that should be alright, and then we're going to increment the number. So if we basically just echo out num here, we should get 0 and 1 printed out. as you can see, we get 0 and 1 because the first file is under 0 and the second file is under 1. Okay, so if we just get rid of that. So next we need to actually put some variables in here to get the variables name. So file name is files array, and we need 2. It's a multi-dimensional array, and we need to get the name from the number that is specified. So as you can see, 0 was the first file, so it's going to get the name from the first file, and then once it's looped through that, it will go back, increment the number. Number will change to 1, and then it will get the name from the number 1 file, which is the equivalent to the second file. So also we need the file name, and we need the temporary name. So files array. So we need the tmp underscore name and num in there, and then we can successfully move the uploaded file. So before I actually go any further, I'm just going to show you the file structure that I have, just so you can get an idea of what is actually happening here. This is the index file. I have a file called a directory called tmp, which will basically store the files uploaded. This is where we're going to move them now. So it will upload the files to the tmp directory, and then once they've been added to a zip file, the zip file will be created in this zips folder, and then once that has been successfully archived into the zip file, we will delete the files that have been uploaded. And that's why I basically got this as a temporary directory, because it's just a temporary directory where the files will be stored while they are being zipped. Okay, so we want to move the temporary name, well, the file that's got a temporary name, to tmp / incarnate onto there the file name. So that will move the temporary file in the actual temporary PHP temporary directory, which is a file of tmp, and then move it to the our temporary folder that we've created, and rename that tmp file to the actual file, so it's actually uploading. Okay, so now I'm going to put the archive name, which we get from $_post. Actually, we get from name, but then we need to concatenate onto that .zip, because they will type in something here. Like, say if I type in my new zip, they will generally not type in .zip again there to put the file extension on. So you need to concatenate the file extension, so PHP knows what file it's dealing with. So you could do a check to say if .zip is in there, but for the time being, this is just a principle of adding files to a zip archive. So now that we've got the archive name, we need to actually get the files. So files array names is equal to $_files. So files name. Okay, so this will basically get to the files, all the files that have been uploaded, and put the name into an array. So if I print _r, you'll see what I mean now. Files array names. I missed out A there. So if I just refresh this, as you can see, we get a little array with the name of the first file and the second file that was uploaded. Where are we? Okay, so we can delete this. So now what we need to do is actually check if any zip files of that name what the user has entered actually already exist, because you don't want to overwrite an already existing zip archive that you already have added. So what we need to do is create a variable called zips.dir, and that is going to be equal to a scan dir function, which will scan all the files in the zips folder and put them in an array. So if I print _r zips.dir, now there's nothing in that, so as you can see, it all only comes up with the parent directory and the back. But if I add a file into there, then it would appear there. Okay, so that's basically what that does. It just gets everything in that directory and puts it into an array. So this error false is going to be used in a minute, so you'll understand what that means in a minute. So now we need to create a for each loop to loop through each of what the scan dir function has found, to see if it matches with, see if the name of what's in the directory matches with the name of what the user's entered. So for each zips dir file, no, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Zips dir as zip dir file. So basically, for every value in this array, in the zips.dir array, it will put it in a new variable called zips.dir file and loop through each file in that array, if you understand what I mean. So then we can basically say if the zips or zip.dir file is equal to the archive name. So if it has been found, we're going to change the error variable to true, so we have found an error, and then we need to break out of the loop, because if we found an error, if an error has been found, then there's no point in continuing running through the loop, wasting time and CPU power or whatever. So now we can say if error is equal to false, so if no error has been found, we can run some code here, else we're just going to echo out to the user to say name already exists. So I'll check that later on when we add a zip file to an archive, just to make sure it's all working. So now we need to create a tmp directory. So this is basically just scanning now. So scan the tmp directory now. So we're going to create a variable called zip, and this is equal to a new zip archive. And bear in mind, this does not come up as any colour, it stays as black. Oh, and before I continue on, you need to actually enable zips archive in your local host. Now to do that, you just do it through php.ini. You just take out the 2 semicolons, I think, at the front. But I'll show you a quick way to do that. So if you're using WAMP like I am, basically all you need to do is click on the little icon, hover over to PHP and then go to extensions. You'll see here php_zip. See how mine's not ticked, so it would have got a problem. So make sure this php_zip is ticked, So once you click that, your localhost will restart. Now what I like to do is just do a quick check just to make sure that it has been ticked, and as you can see it has. So there we go, that's all good. Okay, so that was that. I forgot to mention that at the start. But zips do come with every localhost. I presume it comes with WAMP, so I'm presuming it comes with XAMPP or whatever localhost you're using. I'm not sure about web servers though. Okay, so back onto the tutorial. So now we need to actually open this zip, and that's done by using a hash, well not hash, a dash, and the greater than sign, so it looks a bit like an arrow, and we need to open. And what do we want to open? We want to open in zips, cutting it onto that, the archive name. So this basically sort of creates the file, and from PHP 4 or something or other. So basically, if you've got less than PHP 4, then I don't think you need to do this bit, but just do it anyway, just as a measure. But I think most web servers now have greater than PHP 4, so this will be needed. So you need to add the flag in here to zip archive 2 colons and create, just to say this is actually going to create a zip file, well, a file in the zips directory. Okay, so now we need to create a for loop to actually run through the files in the array. So basically what we can do is copy this up here for now, because it's pretty much the same. So okay, so let's just get rid of some of the stuff in here as we don't need it. What's happened here? There we go. So I think that the header is the same. Just have a quick check. Yes, I think so. So now we need to create a file name from the files array. That probably could have stayed the same. So we want to get the name from the array, and then we need to create a for each loop here to actually loop through each file in the array, so we can add the file to the zip. So it'll loop through each file, adding the file to the zip as it loops through. So for each file in the temporary directory, that's why we needed that tmp dir scan up there, as tmp the file. So what we need to do is do a quick check just to make sure that the file exists actually. The file is the same, like there's no duplicates in there, because if people are uploading files at the same time, like adding files to an archive at the same time, and they upload another file, we don't want to add their file to our zip. So basically we need to check if the tmp the file is equal to the file name from what we've got in our own array, what we've uploaded, not what someone else has uploaded. Chances of someone else doing this at the same time, unless you're on a heavy website, the chances are minimal, but it's a simple check just to make sure that you don't add someone else's file to the zip if they've done it at pretty much the same time. Okay, so now we need to add this file to the zip. So zip add file, and we want to add the tmp, carrying it onto that, the file name. Okay, so that will basically add each of our own file from the temporary directory that we created to the zip, and basically we can just give in a little message out here to say echo adding carrying it onto that, the file name, and then we'll create a break there. Okay, and then outside of this for loop, we need to actually close the zip. Okay, so that technically will now add all the files to the zip archive, but we need to do one more thing to actually delete the files that the user uploaded from the temporary directory, because we don't want to keep their files stored on the web server. We want to keep the archive stored with the files in there, and we don't want to keep the actual file. So to do this, we just need to loop through and delete them files, but I'm going to put this in the next part because I've just seen the time and we're getting on to like 21.5 minutes now. I'll create a next part. It shouldn't be long, next part, so join me in the next part for finishing this script off, and so I'll see you in the next part.